Hey, church family, thank you for joining us for our last day of devotional of the week. It's Friday. You finished up your work week, hopefully, and you're headed into the weekend. Looking forward to worshiping with one another this Sunday, and also Thanksgiving is right here upon us. So hopefully, you get a chance to hang out with family and spend time with one another. So as we get ready for all that's coming in next week, we are finishing up this week in our time looking at the importance of being committed to prayer. We're finishing up our time in Ephesians 6 with Paul as he, in this last verse, is going to be asking for prayer. And so something about Paul is Paul considered himself a foreigner in this world. He was kind of like a diplomat, right? He spoke on behalf of God to all of the world around him, all of those who would open their ears and open their hearts to listen. In our world today, diplomats are typically treated with some sort of respect or honor because they represent a neighboring country or foreign country that's visiting in some way or functioning along with another entity. But here in Scripture, as we look at Paul's life, as he functions as this diplomat of Christ, in no way is he treated with honor or treated with respect. The reality is Paul was beaten and Paul was ridiculed. Paul was continuously persecuted and in the end gave his life for Christ. And so I think that makes this particular passage here, this last verse, so much more important, knowing and understanding how Paul's life ended. So in Ephesians chapter 6, our final verse is verse 20. It says, "For this I am an ambassador in chains. Pray that I might be bold enough to speak about it as I should." As he is writing this here in Ephesians, he is literally in prison. This is one of those final letters here as he is finishing up his time here on this earth. And he's saying that he is an ambassador of Christ to the world around him and that he is in chains. And you notice his prayer is not that he could get out of these chains. His prayer is not that persecution would stop. No, his prayer is that he would speak boldly. The very thing that put him in prison, he's praying that he could continue to do it boldly. And that absolutely should be our prayer. The reality is, just like Paul, we will be rejected because of our faith. People will look at us and they won't want to invite us into their homes and invite us into their lives. They're not going to be excited about the gospel message because the gospel message requires sacrifice. And so many times we will face rejection, and you very possibly have face rejection, but that doesn't mean that we should stop speaking boldly. That doesn't mean that we stop sharing the gospel with others. No, instead, we should continue to speak boldly, and we should continue to pray that we can speak boldly. We should ask that others pray that we can speak boldly. And then finally, just as Paul is asking for prayer here, we should pray for those missionaries, those who are in very, very difficult circumstances and in locations around the world who are facing some of the same persecution that Paul faced. We should pray that they, in the midst of great persecution, could also speak boldly. Our author gives us a couple of questions here. The first says, when have you been rejected or even wrongly accused for living out your faith? And then finally, how does prayer help us to boldly live out our faith? I think prayer is the cornerstone of that. I think without prayer, we will not live boldly because we can't live boldly except in the strength of Christ. And we need that strength. We need to pray for that strength. Church family, I hope that you will do that this weekend and jumping into next week. I hope you'll be committed to pray and that you would allow that to transform your life and allow you to have strength and boldness to preach the gospel. And as you do that, we want you to know that we love you and we're praying for you.